today we're going to be working on a Nigerian classic called MoinMoin. Now, MoinMoin is a bean pudding that is a consistency of like a sweet potato pie. It has a lot of sweet elements and spicy elements with it. And it is something that we serve with a lot of our main dishes, like with a lot of our rice dishes, but it can also be eaten by itself as a meal. Now, to get started with our MoinMoin, the first thing that we need is our base for our MoinMoin, which is the beans. And I have some beans here. And these beans, I've already soaked it. I've taken the skins off and I've soaked it for about 2 hours. And it is nice and soft. In here, I have about 2 cups of that beans reconstituted to, it looks almost like 4 cups now, but it started out dry as 2 cups. Now, the Nigerian beans that I use for this is called ewa oloyin, which means sweet brown beans. So let's get started here. First thing I'm gonna do is grab my beans, little by little. I'm gonna be layering my beans in there along with my ingredients. And I'm going to blend it till it's a smooth paste. Now, I'm going to blend it in batches. The reason I'm blending it in batches is I want to maintain a smooth consistency to my puree. So I'm going to blend in batches so I can be able to get everything nice and smooth, okay? I have some crayfish, or some smoked shrimp, some onion, red bell peppers. I've got some habaneros here, and I'm going to add some water. Now, the water content when you're making MoinMoin is key. You don't want too much water, but you don't want too little either, because you're going to be cooking this in a steaming method. So you need some water in there to really help it cook. So what I'm doing is that I'm filling up my beans in my blender, and I'm filling up the water almost to where the onions would be. So I'm basically filling the water up to the level of the beans, and that's how I know I have enough water in there. So I'm going to cover this up and I'm going to blend this. Here it goes. I'm going to place that in my bowl and I'm going to go for my second batch. Okay, so all my beans have been blended. It is nice and smooth now. I have some red oil here, some palm oil that I've already preheated, really, or burnt off some of the red in there. So I have about, as I said, I'm putting about half a cup in this batter. That should do it. Just look at all that beautiful color. So mixing this thoroughly. Next thing I'm going to be doing is placing some chicken bouillon in here. That's where the salt and the flavors of the chicken really gets in here. I'm mixing that in here for extra flavor. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is start getting my cans or my tins together. I have some loaf pans that I'm going to be using for this process, and I'm just going to arrange them here. Now, growing up in Nigeria, we used to use like cans for this. We used banana leaves for it. Just anything we could find really to make this pudding, we basically used for it. Now, what makes MoinMoin great is the layering, because you need to layer like some nice flavors in there and some nice meats in there. So by the time your pudding is ready, you're just basically cutting into several layers of deliciousness. So what I'm going to do now is just start layering it. I'm going to start with about 2 eggs at the bottom of each pan. And now that I have my eggs in there, I'm now going to layer about 2 scoopfuls of the MoinMoin mixture in there. Now, when you're layering your MoinMoin mixture into your can, you don't want to fill it all the way up, because the MoinMoin will rise. It's almost like baking a cake. Okay. Next step is for me to add my mackerel fish into it. Now, mackerel really is the traditional way, or the traditional fish that is added in MoinMoin. It adds that, you know, delicious fish flavor to that, to this delicious dish. But the simple way to do it is just buy a couple of cans of mackerel, drain it, flake it, and you're home free. Now that I'm done layering my MoinMoin with the mackerel, I'm now going to add just one more ladle of the batter on top of it. We're now going to steam it. I'm going to place that under medium high to high heat. Fit it nice and tight. Cover it up, and I'm not going to be touching this baby for another 40 minutes or so. Oh wow. Look at all that steam that's cooked our MoinMoin. I can't wait to see what's in here. Choice. Oh, would you look at that? Beautifully, just beautifully cooked. I'm going to take this out and I'm going to plate this. It should come off easily, and it does, because of all of that palm oil in there. It just makes it glide out of the pan very easily. I'm going to just cut this up into little slices. And it is nice and soft. It will even become firmer as it cools down. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. My MoinMoin, along with this delicious hot and sweet sauce and the glass of wine, is the bee's knees. It's all anyone can ask for. So let us give it a try, shall we? It looks so delicious. It's calling out my name. I'm gonna get one with the egg in it. This is out of this world. So remember, guys, whenever you're trying anything in your kitchen, breakfast, lunch, or dinner, think African, do African. From my kitchen to yours, enjoy.